Welcome back to the CryptoWorld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, both Bitcoin and Ethereum are dumping to the downside just after they broke below key levels of support, which I warned about in my last video. But on top of that, we are also seeing the mysterious FTX hacker preparing to potentially dump another 180,000 ETH worth approximately $200 million. More on that later in the video, so definitely stick around. First of all, just giving you a quick update on the daily Bitcoin chart, and obviously the larger trend at play here is still a bearish trend. And as I've been talking about on this channel ever since this point right here, around 2 weeks ago, this bearish signal in the daily Bitcoin RSI usually plays out over at least a few weeks, sometimes even up to 1 to 2 months, based on what we've seen so far this year. In fact, if you're just measuring the amount of time between this bearish signal in the daily Bitcoin RSI, where the RSI broke below the ascending line of support, to the next local low in the price of Bitcoin, the first time this happened this year, that played out over pretty much 1 full month worth of downside price action before we hit our next consolidation area. And looking at the second time this happened, we played out this bearish move over around 1.5 weeks. So obviously that played out a lot quicker. And looking at the third example, from that bearish signal to the next local low in the price of Bitcoin, that played out over roughly around 1 full month. And so far, as I'm recording this video, from this bearish signal, the most recent bearish signal in the daily Bitcoin RSI, to where we're sitting at right now, it's been around 2 weeks. And so already what we have seen over the last 2 weeks is pretty standard stuff after we see a bearish signal like this on the daily time frame. But remember, based on this first example and this third example, we could still potentially have another 2 weeks worth of bearish price action if this were to play out like these previous examples, where we basically saw around 1 month worth of downside price action before hitting the local low. And just before giving you an update on the short-term Bitcoin price action, first taking a look at the weekly Bitcoin chart. And over the last 1 day, we did end up seeing a weekly candle close, but you can clearly see that this previous weekly candle actually closed in the red. It was another red weekly candle, which means we did not officially confirm this massive bullish divergence on the weekly Bitcoin chart. Although with that being said, technically speaking, it is still forming. It just hasn't been confirmed. So we still need to see at least one green weekly candle close, while the price action is sitting in lower lows and the RSI is sitting in higher lows, which it is right now. But once again, we still need to see that green weekly candle close, which we haven't seen just yet. But anyway, zooming into the short term, looking at the 2-hour Bitcoin to US dollar chart, and obviously, as we can see, over the last 1 day, we've seen a clear break to the downside for this head and shoulders pattern, and the price target, the technical price target for this pattern, has already been met. That was sitting at around 16.1k approximately. And of course, if you watched my last video on this channel, then you would have been prepared for that bearish move to the downside. And so obviously, congrats to those of you who shorted this move, which was one of the most likely moves in the short term based on this pattern once again. But as of right now, the price of Bitcoin is currently running into this range of support coming into play in between around 15.7k going up to just above 15.8k. And so as of right now, that is the range of support that I'm currently paying attention to. And let me just say, this is not financial advice, but entering into a new short position here as the price is running into support can be a risky strategy. So personally, I would not be entering into a new short position at support if I missed this trade. And just letting you know, on a short-term trade like this, when the position already moves well into profits, personally, I prefer to move the stop loss into profits as well, which means in the worst case scenario, I am still securing profits. Even if the price goes back to the upside, I would not get liquidated if I have a stop loss sitting in profits. But once again, that should not be taken as personal financial advice, because I do not know your personal financial situation, and that's just letting you know what I usually do for trades like this. But anyway, getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this right here is the daily ETH to US dollar chart, and over the last 1 day, we have officially seen a daily candle close below this golden pocket level of support, which, by the way, this golden pocket is coming into play in between around 1180 up to around 1210. And once again, we've just seen a daily candle close in the price of ETH below that range of support, which is technically a bearish signal on the daily time frame. And as I also mentioned yesterday, if we saw that signal, That basically means the price of ETH is most likely going to continue down towards the next Fibonacci level of support, which is this 78.6% Fibonacci level, and that is sitting at around 1050 to 1060 approximately. And obviously, as of right now, in terms of the larger trend at play here on the daily time frame, this is still clearly a bearish trend as of right now on the daily chart once again. And something similar can be said about the short term, because if you're looking at the 2-hour ETH to US dollar chart, what we've seen over the last one day is a clear break to the downside. In fact, I actually talked about this in my last video, warning that we already broke this support level and that we have a technical price target down here at around 1050 to 1060, which is also where that Fibonacci level of support is sitting at. So we have some confluence around that price level on the charts. And obviously, congrats to those of you who took this trade, because so far, if you entered anywhere near where I recorded my last video, so far this trade is well into profits, although it hasn't yet hit that technical price target. So we potentially still have a little bit more room to the downside here to go. But with that being said, like I mentioned earlier in the video, for Bitcoin, it is actually increasingly risky to open a new short position after the price has already dumped. But it is important to mention that that is not personal financial advice for you. I'm just letting you know that I personally would not open a new short position here if I missed this trade. And once again, what I personally do with a trade like this is basically once the trade enters well into profits, as it would be right now if you entered anywhere near here, then personally I just move my stop loss into profits, which means in the worst case scenario, let's just say if the price doesn't even reach this price target and just turns around right here, right now, even in that worst case scenario for a short position, basically I'll be stopped out wherever my stop loss is. And of course, if my stop loss is sitting in profits, so below the entry price, that means in the worst case scenario, I am still securing profits for this trade. But that is just letting you know what I personally do with my own trades once again. And if you want to know more about how to make a lot of money in crypto from a move like this, then stick around to the end of this video. But first, quickly talking about the FTX hacker who has recently moved 180,000 ETH worth approximately 200 million US dollars. And what they've done so far, at least at the time of recording this video, is basically split this up in 15,000 ETH batches into 12 different wallets. And in case you are not following me on my Twitter, or in case you missed my last video, the FTX hacker usually does these transfers of 15,000 ETH into new addresses just before dumping that ETH on the market and acquiring wrapped Bitcoin, then going through a bridge to essentially swap that wrapped Bitcoin to actual Bitcoin and withdraw that into a Bitcoin address. But if you want to know more information about all of this, and if you want to stay up to date in real time as soon as these transactions happen, then make sure to follow me over on my Twitter, and the link to my Twitter is in the description down below and also in the pinned comments. And now, if you want to know how to maximize your profits in crypto during a move like this, even when the price is dumping, you can still make profits in crypto if you watch the video in the top left of your screen right now, because that video right there basically shows you how to make money in crypto if the price is either bullish or bearish, and the video in the bottom left of your screen shows you how to make money in crypto if the price is chopping around sideways. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.